Let's relive our Mayo days a bit through the voice of Priyamvada Singh, batch of 1998. She was invited as the chief guest at the annual prize giving 2022. Her speech is equal part reminiscent of the good old Mayo days and motivating as she shares her fascinating career through it. Priyamvada Singh wears many hats. She's been a media professional and a heritage restorer. She started an initiative called the Meja Project to restore a 150-year-old fort and blended heritage restoration with socio-cultural resurrection. Her social upliftment efforts towards the local community won her the highest civilian honour for women in India, the Nari Shakti from the Indian government in 2019. From setting up a community library to organising blood donation and yoga camps to helping retired artisans rediscover their professions, creating employment opportunities for women to promoting local talent at the state and national platforms, hers is a fascinating journey. In fact, she's also been recognized among 25 women achievers from thousands of inspirational stories across India and presented with the Advantage Woman Award. She's also been honoured by the Veer Durga Das Smriti Samiti and Mehrangarh Museum Trust for her work. In fact, recently she also marked her debut in fiction writing when one of her short stories was published in an anthology. She also penned a coffee table book, and you can find her articles in national publications like The Hindu, The Daily Guardian, and on diverse online platforms. So let me not build it up anymore. Give it up for Priyamvada Singh's speech as the chief guest at the annual prize giving 2022.
Respected members of the General Council, members of the MCGS Managing Committee, Principal Ma'am, members of the staff, parents, and my fellow Mayoites. During the prize giving of 1996, I stood on the same stage as a part of the choir, and we sang the song by Florence Beragad, the lyrics of which went something like, "I do believe in miracles because one has happened to me." Almost 25 years later, as I stand before you all today in this capacity, I think these lyrics are probably the best way to sum up my emotions and my state of mind. Because this certainly feels like a miracle. I was destined to be a fourth-generation Mayoite because MCGS was established just a year before I joined in class 4. And I think my family couldn't have been happier. I spent 9 years on this campus, and I think they were not just the most memorable years of my life. They also instilled in me a sense of self-assurance, which has continued to work as one of my biggest strengths through life. I belong to the small village called Meja in Rajasthan, but the kind of exposure and opportunity that I got on this campus made me capable to hold my ground wherever I went and before whoever I stood. Since I belong to a creative field, I want to first talk about the co-curricular opportunities that I got in Mayo and how they kind of inspired me to build a career in the media. So, back in school, we had a lot of workshops with a lot of stalwarts from the field of television and theatre. In fact, I still remember that I got my first experience of production design right here when, in the prize giving of 1997, we adapted Munshi Premchand's Godan into this play called Ek Kisan Ki Kahani. And I think that was the first time in the history of Mayo that the cultural program venue was shifted from this stage to behind where our hockey grounds used to be. And we, the girls, helped build up an entire set depicting a village scene. The kind of high that was for all of us, after all these years, it still comes up in our conversations. Another thing I want to talk about are the Spikmike programs, which enabled us to see live performances of so many prodigies from the world of art and culture and dance. I must admit, none of us realize the importance of these things when we are in school. And, we often find ways to bunk them. I remember bunking quite a few of these Spikmike sessions myself. But later in life, when I was, doing these culture-centric events, and, I was working with organizations like the ICCR or the Ministry of Culture, And I was meeting all these artists who were recipients of the Padma Shris and the Padma Bhushans. I think the fact that I was from Mayo used to work as this amazing icebreaker for me. And all I had to do was just go and tell them that, I'm from Mayo and you performed before us in school. And the warmth that I would get from them and, the edge I would get over the others was only and only because of the school. Another thing I want to talk about is the sports routine at Mayo. Because it was those years of morning and evening games which kind of helped me build my physical endurance to last some of my most exhausting projects. This one time I was on this project where I was on the road and in the interiors of Jammu, Kashmir and Ladakh to document these different facets of development on the 5th anniversary of Operation Vijay in Kargil. And there was this another time when I was traveling for close to 2 months in the Northeast India in the Seven Sister States for another documentary series. And I was the only woman in my crew those times, in both these projects and a few more. And I say this with all humility, that I was at par with all the men as far as physical endurance was concerned, only and only because of my sports regime in Mayo. So what I'm trying to say here is that, of course, we all know that academics are of profound importance. But I think it's the co-curriculars and sports at Mayo which really helped me achieve my physical and mental balance. I know some of you may be extraordinary at these things like we saw today. And some of you may feel that you're not that good or not up to the mark. But take it from someone like me who was as average can be back in school, that it doesn't matter at this point in your life, Just explore as many opportunities that come your way, because you never know which of these things you're doing in school will kind of, give you your path for life, right? Besides physical balance, I also want to talk about how Mayo has always upped my emotional quotient. Because some of my most strongest and the most long-lasting relationships and friendships are the ones I forged in Mayo. Today we are all, my Mayo friends and I, we are all separated by distances and time. But the fact that we grew together side by side for 9 years ensures that our roots are always tangled. We are all still very much binded by a common value system, of loyalty to one another, of loyalty to our school, of respect for our teachers, of respect for each other's families. And a basic compassion is what I think binds us all together and keeps us together no matter where we are. Last year I lost my mother. And some of the first people who reached out to me were not just my Mayo friends, but the moms of my Mayo friends. And they continue to check on me even now and then to kind of ensure that I'm doing okay. So, I think this is the blessing you get for being a Mayo girl. This is the privilege. That no matter where you go, your sisterhood always has your back. I think I've been fortunate that I've managed to stay connected to school even after passing out. Back in 2005, I had come back to help the school with the direction and production of this ballet called Gomti, which was staged on the prize giving that year. And if I may add, it was received quite well. More recently, Ma'am Kanchan gave me the opportunity to create this TED Club event, which I curated. And I called upon a couple of my fellow recipients of the Nari Shakti Puraskar to come and share their journeys with the girls. And today, as I stand before you in this capacity, I'm only full of gratitude towards the General Council, towards the Managing Committee, towards Principal Ma'am, and towards everyone else who thought me capable to be standing before you all today. And as we say in Mayo, let there be light. Thank you.